Majora's Mask's 3DS remake is the game that inspired me to make this series of videos. That's because I appreciated the fact that they were willing to change things, but also found myself lacking in regard to some of the things they failed to change. To start, I'll praise the things they did change. The best change was making the Circus Leader mask useful for something. They added another side quest that was based on the characters in the game, which is really what Majora's Mask is all about. Another change I liked was the changes to the boss battles. Odelwaz was the most subtle, but the best one, since it made more use of the Deathly Mask. Overall, it made the bosses more challenging and more interesting. However, I felt the twin roll battle was a little too cheap, and after the initial awesomeness of it wore off, it actually became pretty annoying. So I'd keep the idea, but make it a little easier to deal damage. The fishing holes weren't really a necessary addition, but they were a welcome one. I haven't felt compelled to mess around in them myself yet, but it takes absolutely nothing from the game, and even if it adds little, it's still nice to have something added. At the very least, it makes the world feel a bit bigger. I was against the expanded save system before the game came out, since I felt it went against the grain of Majora's Mask's time system, but after playing through it, I found it pretty useful and not as damaging as I thought. The only thing I'll add here is that I think the saving when actually playing the Song of Time should be reinstated. It makes sense that a new cycle means a new save, since that's when you permanently lock progress in the game. I know quite a few players use the Song of Time to save. A veteran player can easily lose progress. Other minor stuff like the expanded Bomber's Notebook, the changes to the attack combos, minor stuff in Clockdown, and especially the Goro mask redesign were all good too. So now on to things I didn't like about Majora's Mask 3D and would change back. By far the worst change is Zora Link swimming. It's not nearly as much fun to play as him now, and just makes the game more tedious. They randomly switched some stuff in the remake that didn't really need to change. I think the worst is the first two Great Fairy power-ups. Getting the expanded magic meter so early takes away from the actual impact of the upgrade, and a magic spin attack isn't so useful that it should be moved later in the game. Other stuff they changed just confused me, like swapping the reward for Dampé and Kaum's minigame. I felt that reward's more fitting in the original. A minigame like Kaum's feels like it's the place to get a piece of heart, while Dampé you're looking for treasure, which is part of the running joke about how bottles are so valuable in the Zelda universe. Lastly, moving Shiro to the Gerudo hideout. I can see the sense of this since that's where the stone mask is most useful, but I don't like it as a change. I feel like it makes the game too linear and takes away something that makes the area before Ikana more relevant. They moved the bank to a more convenient place opposite the owl statue in Clocktown, but I don't actually like this. I felt that was a little too convenient. It made the world feel a little too much like a video game, designed to please Link. It also made West Clocktown less important in general. Likewise, the Song of Double Time became way too convenient. It took out all the waiting and experience time in the game. I like the way it can take you to the start and end of each day without having to play it multiple times, but being able to bring you to any hour is just broken. Instead, I'd add an extra Song of Time that does the opposite to the inverse Song of Time, and doubles the rate at which time passes in the game. This wouldn't give you godlike power to go to any hour you want, but it would take much of the waiting out of the game. Okay, now let's go on to the actual original changes I would make to the game. The first big thing that I really want to see in Majora's Mask is movement among the NPCs. The coolest thing about the game is that other people had routines and did stuff regardless of Link's interaction. This aspect is actually pretty underdeveloped in the game, no doubt due to a combination of limited time and technology. The only character that really has a full schedule for the 3 days are Andrew, Gorman and the Postman. Everyone else just warps around town when the day changes to night. I'd love to see the game being more active and lively, with the NPCs going home as evening draws near. Not in uniform either, having some retire early and others getting up late. I like this to extend outside Clocktown too, so you can see the likes of Sakin and the Goron Link travelling through Terminal Field. I'd also like to see some more fear of the final night, actually seeing citizens fleeing town and show them taking refuge in other places instead of just mentioning it. The Gorons, Deku and Zora should also acknowledge the moon falling, since it's implied pretty heavily that it'll wipe them out too. This would mean pretty much all the side quests will be unavailable once the final night begins, but there'll be a lot more NPCs to interact with in areas outside of Clocktown. I'd also like to see the bombers flee during the final night too. I know they have to be around because you need to do their side quests during the first cycle as a Deku, but it always breaks my suspension of disbelief to hear them waddling around when the moon is falling. Unless you make them street orphans, they really have no reason to be there. I'd like it if you could sell more things in the Curiosity Shop. It's a pretty noteworthy place for side quests, but in terms of actual shopping, it's somewhat lacking. I'd have it so you can sell anything that can be put in a bottle, up to and including Zoro eggs, the seahorse and the Deku Princess. Also, you can sell bombs and arrows, which would be a good way of getting some extra money when you're about to use a Song of Time in the final night. I think it'd be good if there was a counter to how many times you play the Song of Time, just out of curiosity. I'd also like to make it so you can complete the game by playing the Song of Time only once. I hear they sped up the inverted Song of Time slightly in the 3DS version. and that makes it impossible now, though I haven't tested it myself. The last thing I'd like to see added is something that will probably never happen, but I'd absolutely love it if it ever came to be. And that would be making it so you can visit a Carnival of Time after collecting every mask and finishing the game. Majora's Mask is all about the NPCs, so seeing them all at the end of the game, getting all their happy endings would be fantastic. I know we get to see it in the credits, but that's nothing compared to being actually able to interact with them in dangerous past. Exactly what happens during the carnival would also depend on your actions that cycle, so I'd encourage people to try and make super happy playthroughs, where they save everyone in one cycle. Time would progress normally during the day, and there would be different events happening all over town, depending on the time, like concerts in the Milk Bar, and Cafe and Andrew's wedding. I just think that would be really great, and just a brilliant way to finish off the game. And that's all I've got to say about Majora's Mask. Tune in tomorrow, where I'll be talking about the Wind Waker.